It's no secret that Florida has one of the hottest housing markets in the entire country. But when you look at the numbers, the vacancy rate tells a little bit of a different story. So let's talk about it right now.
Sunshine, blue skies, it's a state of mind that we came to find. I'm talking about palm trees, we're making memories. I don't wanna leave this sunshine state of mind.
Now, this is all according to data that came out from the US Census last month in March. Now, what I find really interesting about this data is the top 4 states with the most vacant homes are Florida, California, Texas, and then New York. Now, 2 of these states, Florida and Texas, people are flocking to in record numbers. And the other 2 states, California and New York, are having record numbers of people migrating out of the state. What that tells me is that these states have vacant homes for 2 completely different reasons. Now, if we're going to talk strictly numbers, Florida won this in a landslide with 1.68 million vacant homes. Coming in second place was California with 1.21 million. And even if we look at percentages, now California has a lot more homes in total than what Florida does. California's vacancy rate is only 8%, whereas Florida's vacancy rate is 17%. Now, I know what you're thinking. There's a lot of people moving to Florida. How can there be so many vacant homes? And the answer is simple. It's investors. Now, this is a bit of a touchy subject because, for lack of a better explanation, investors are actually controlling the market and they're manipulating these prices in Florida to go higher and higher and higher for their own personal gain. And these investors, they're savvy, right? They know that it's the best move for them at the time. Because if you look at the stock market over the last 6 months, it's moving laterally, if not a little bit down in that time frame. The housing market, on the other hand, has went nothing but up. And most of these investors are buying with cash and they're only holding onto the properties for 2, 3, maybe 6 months at the most. And then they're selling the property and making out with the profits. Now, this is extremely stressful for anybody who's trying to buy a home in Florida right now because you're learning that there are so many vacant homes, but there's so little inventory on the market. That's because these homes keep increasing in value, so these investors just keep holding on to them and waiting for the right time to sell. There's actually 4 cities in the state of Florida that rank in the top 10 in the entire country for homes that are owned by investors. Now, those cities are Miami, Jacksonville, Tampa, and Orlando. The greater metro areas of each of those cities are owned by almost 35% investors, according to recent reports from Redfin. So I've said in a recent video that I do not foresee a housing market crash coming anytime in the near future. So what can we do to get this housing market under control in Florida and make it easier for home buyers to actually purchase a home? The only way that I see that happening is the home buyer becoming savvy and not just rushing into buying something at the time. Doing so will help somewhat control the frenzy that's going on right now. But it's not just the buyer that needs to do something for this to get under control. Sellers need to start looking at all these offers and almost sell with your heart instead of just trying to pad your pocketbook. You know, I mean, lots of these people that are trying to buy a home are putting out just as good of offers as the investors that are trying to buy the homes. It's just sometimes they're not all cash, so it seems like maybe it's a little bit more risky of a deal. But if we work together on this and sellers start, like I said, selling with a heart and looking at maybe who's buying the home. You know, buyers used to put out these letters to the sellers sometimes and maybe even pictures of the family and saying, you know, we really like this home and this is who we are and this is why we want to live in this house and we're going to treat it just as good as what you did when you lived in this house. People don't do that anymore. Everyone's just out to pad their pocketbook. And I believe that that is the reason why it's so hard for so many families to actually purchase their own home right now. They're having to bid $10,000, $20,000, even more above the asking price, and you're competing against investors that have cash in hand and can say, you know what, I can close whenever you want. I'll waive the inspection, I'll waive the appraisal. Doesn't matter because I know that this house is going to go up in value over the next 3 months and I'm just going to sell it anyway. We need to put an end to that, guys. 1.68 million vacant homes in Florida. That's crazy to me. Let's get some families in those homes instead of investors. Do you agree with me? Maybe you don't. Either way, I'd love to hear it in the comments below. So make sure you drop a comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe and give me the thumbs up. And until then, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time.